the Home Office, Sarah Dines, who's on to speak about lots of different things around asylum seekers and all sorts of other governmental issues. But, Sarah, it's impossible to talk to you as your Safeguarding Minister also, but just in general, from a government's point of view. I'm not sure how much of that you heard, but it's deeply moving. It is a very difficult issue. You were not an MP, I understand, in 2015, is that right, when the last vote was held in Parliament on the assisted dying bill? It failed, it was rejected. How would you vote if it were to come back to Parliament?
That's right, I wasn't around at that stage. I was elected in 2019. But what I can say is I have a lot of constituents who write to me about this. Assisted dying is a very, very difficult area. And what a moving story. I caught the last few minutes of that news item. It is very moving, but what's quite clear is each case is very separate. And it's a very big debate, morally, ethically. There are religious connotations, there are all sorts of views, and it's something which is spoken about a lot in Parliament. And I do expect that there will be a debate coming along shortly on this.
And what's your
view? I don't know
view?
exactly when. Well, my personal view is that it is deeply personal, and I don't at this stage think that there should be a change of the law in the UK. Obviously, each country has its own view about this. Some are more religious over it, some are more laissez-faire as to what you do. But it differs wherever you go in the world, and it's a very complex issue. Personally, I don't think there should be a change in the law. But having said that, I'm prepared to listen, and I would listen with great interest in the debate that we would have in the House of Commons if there is one.
It is a strange position to be in, though, Minister. Kevin Maguire put this to me earlier, because I would have voted against in 2015 if I had been a Member of Parliament. He said, how can people who can afford it be allowed to go to Switzerland for to commit euthanasia through Dignitas, but if you're on a lower income and you can't afford to go to Switzerland, we don't allow it here? Isn't that just deeply unfair?
Well, it's the will of our it was the will at the time of our democratic elected House of Commons. We have full debates, and we can't always decide on what the cost of somebody travelling might be or might not be. We need to look at the principles, and it was felt, after a very moving debate, it was felt that that was the right way. That's how people voted. So, Ed, it is very complex, and people's views change as they go through life. Younger people may feel differently from when you're older, and of course there's all the issues as to what the actual factual matrix of the case is. So it's not as clear-cut as who can afford to go to Switzerland. It's very much more complex than that.
Shall we move on to asylum and migration? It's extraordinary to think that Niger was on the list alongside Rwanda for places that are illegal migrants who end up on our shores could have been flown out to. Of course, nobody's been flown out to Rwanda either, because that's been deemed unlawful. But it does raise the question of what kind of checks and balances are being put in place when Niger, which is in the throes of a coup at the moment, might have been in advanced talks with the UK on taking migrants. It's extraordinary, isn't it? And completely disregarding any kind of safeguarding for those human beings.
Well, there's a lot of speculation on this, and I want to get back to facts, which is that this government, this Prime Minister and our Home Secretary are fully committed to the Rwandan scheme. It is of note that the High Court and the Lord Chief Justice at the Court of Appeal accepted that outsourcing these decisions to a safe country such as Rwanda is lawful. So I'm confident and hopeful that by the end of the year, our Supreme Court will have resolved this tricky issue. Right. These are complex issues, but we are determined and we are confident that it's a lawful way of dealing with such applications.
Minister, can I just ask you about facts? Because I know you're making an announcement today that you want to increase the fines for employers who employ illegal migrants. But we know that the real illegality is the gangs, the smuggling gangs, who have been bringing asylum seekers and wider migrants over on the small boats. That's become a much bigger issue in recent years. Can you tell us, I don't know if you know, what the Ministry of Justice statistics say about what's happened to convictions for people who are charged with assisting migrants to enter legally or illegally since 2015?
Well, we know there's a crisis in the Channel, and part of my role as Safeguarding Minister is looking at modern slavery. And what we do know with these international organised crime, they're not just small gangs. This is hardcore international organised crime. What we do know is that they're hard to detect.
Yeah.
But I can say from the work that I'm doing with the National Crime Agency and working with the Ministry of Justice and with all the authorities, there's a huge amount of work that's going forward. What I want to do is make it clear that the Home Secretary is committed to catching more of these criminal gangs.
The odd thing, though, Minister, I was looking at your statistics, the Ministry of Justice statistics. Compared to 2015, the number of people in gangs who are convicted of assisting illegal immigrants to enter has actually fallen by 23%. Why have we seen a fall of over 20% in convictions for these smuggling gangs at a time when it's becoming an even bigger problem?
Well, Ed, what we've got is we've had COVID and we've had various things that have made it more difficult for us to catch these convicted criminals.
It's down by 20% since 2015. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, we've also had slow procedures going through the criminal justice system because of COVID. We're on catch-up. But what is clear is that we are still catching criminals, and which is why we need to make sure that that is our focus. The government is thoroughly focused to stopping this trade. And it's not just the criminal justice system. We need to look at the full ambit of protecting our own borders. That's part of the reason why we have the Illegal Migration Act now, which over coming months hopefully will become operationalised. And don't forget, in contrast, Ed, I don't want to be controversial, but Keir Starmer and the Labour Party don't really seem to have a plan. What they're suggesting over the weekend, I think just yesterday, in their 5 pledges, are things that we've done already and we're working hard on. So it's quite difficult to see where Keir Starmer stands on this.
OK.
But what is quite clear is that the Conservative government are doing their best to stop this crime.
Can I just ask you before you go, we've really run out of time, in a word, Bibby Stockholm, the barge, will we see any asylum seekers on it today?
I'm expecting in coming days that we will have people on the Bibby Stockholm.
In coming days? It's still,
Yes.
Still not sure. OK, thank you
It's
so
not
much.
lack of certainty, it's operational reasons. It will happen soon.
OK, thank you so
Minister,
much, Sarah
and thank you for
Dines.
your answers on assisted dying
Yeah.
as well. Sorry to kind of bring that up when you weren't expecting it, but your answers
That's
are very
fine.
much
It's
appreciated.
interesting.
Thank you.